Are you prepared to clap?
I am prepared to clap.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Clap, 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 clap.
Was that still off?
Yeah.
I was trying to even go a little bit ahead of what I saw.
You can see me.
Yeah.
I can't see you at all. It just says poor connection. This video will resume automatically when the connection improves.
Oh, I see you.
Well, cool. Hi.
Hello.
So, with the way things work, you and I saw each other between the last recording and this recording, and then we didn't even record in person.
No, things were a little bit chaotic. Dad got married.
Oh, I thought you meant we had a crazy puzzle to finish. But yeah, that happened too.
Puzzle was stupid. Grandma, if you're watching this, that's the worst puzzle I've ever done. Grandma got me a puzzle for Christmas, and it was dogs, because I like dogs, and the majority of it was just yellow labs. So the entire puzzle looked the exact same.
It was so hard. Cause
it was 1,000 pieces, too.
I think it wouldn't have been as hard if they'd all been, like, holding something, but only, like, 3 of them had toys, and then the other 45 were just dogs sitting there. And there was, like, no shadows either. They were all lit the same and then photoshopped onto the same picture.
Yeah, the same blue background. I don't think I've thrown it away yet. I plan on throwing it away. Now, but other than doing the puzzle, Dad got married a couple weeks ahead of when he was supposed to.
Yeah.
And not at all where he wanted to.
Yep. Continuation of the coronavirus mania. Had to get it in before the shelter in place went in effect.
Yeah, so it was just, like, immediate family and then the best man and his wife.
Yep. 10 of us plus the pastor.
Yeah, it was an experience. Now I was live streaming it on Dad's phone on my phone on Dad's Facebook account, and my phone was about to die the entire time. So I wanted to, like, look at the pastor and, like, hurry up.
It didn't take that long. Your phone must not have been supercharged at all, because it was, like, less than half an hour.
Yeah, my phone, it was at, like, 20%, and I found my portable charger, but my portable charger wasn't anywhere near charged. So I got up to, like, 30% before my portable charger died.
Yeah, and then you left right after that. So now here we are on the phone.
Mm-hmm. The drive back to Ames was pretty boring, as it always is.
I would imagine. Although some of my least favorite driving memories have been driving across western Iowa. But I guess you were driving across northern Iowa.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
I made one stop, and I felt so good about myself because I got gas for, I think, $1.82, and it was like 10 cents cheaper than it was in the cities. And then I drove past Clear Lake, Iowa, and gas was $1.43 a gallon. Are you kidding me?
Wow. You need to get the Gas Buddy app.
I have it. No, I don't. I had it.
Gas Buddy was really good when I first downloaded it, and then it's kind of been a little more hit or miss the last year or so. Really, you'll go to a place and the price isn't accurate.
Yeah, it's sometimes hit or miss with getting cheap gas on the way up, because gas in Clear Lake is usually pretty cheap, because it's right next to Mason City and that's where they make gas. So I usually try and get gas there. But the last couple times I've gone up to the cities, it was cheaper in Albert Lea, and then I was kicking myself for getting gas in Clear Lake.
Yeah, but the Clear Lake stop has Culver's, and Albert Lea just has that one building, the Travel Lodge or whatever.
Yeah, I stopped there, went to the bathroom, and then got... What did I buy? I bought a Powerade and a bag of chips.
You bought a Powerade on purpose?
Yes.
I'm not a Powerade fan. I'm not a sports drink fan in general, because I prefer having more taste and not as much water. But if I do have sports drinks, I would go Gatorade over Powerade by a long shot.
The Powerade was cheaper, and my plan was to mix it with an emergency to do kind of like the immune system boost. So I got like a cherry Powerade Mixed it with my disgusting strawberry kiwi emergency. And the two gross flavors kind of balanced out. That's what I was going for.
Well, congratulations, I guess.
Thank you.
Yep.
Now I just need to buy more of that gross Powerade if I want more emergencies.
So I saw Dad today. He was moving more stuff out, and he said he liked the first episode. And then he said, I have a suggestion for you. You two should maybe introduce yourselves. And I was like, yeah, I realized that after we hung up for the first call. It's like we didn't introduce ourselves at all. And that was part of why I called the first one episode 0 and not episode 1. So now welcome to episode 1 where we'll actually introduce who we are.
Yeah, so who are we, brother?
Well, there's your first clue, I guess. So my name is Eric.
I'm Elena.
And we are siblings.
And we're siblings.
I'm the oldest. Elena's the youngest. I speak for both of us, apparently. And then we have a middle sister who is not on this podcast.
Yeah, hence the name 2 out of 3 and then the logo.
Yep. Sorry, Emily.
She's busy with her job.
Perhaps she can join us at some point. I think we have plans to introduce some of her into the podcast, but that's all I'll say for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Stay glued to your earphones.
Yeah, so we're from Minnesota. We're from around the Twin Cities area. Grew up around there. Eric went to college around there, moved out to Denver, then moved back. I came down to Ames for college, so I'm still here. Eric's living in Dad's house right now.
Yep. Not even Dad's living in Dad's house anymore.
Nah, because Dad just got married.
Yep.
Got a new house.
And the two of us, Elena and I, are almost 8 years apart in age. Just a little short of that. I was thinking about that yesterday, that I was in 2nd grade when you were born.
Yeah, because I ruined your 2nd grade musical.
So that is, I think you in part ruined it for me. Let's not say that you completely ruined the musical. But yes, Mom and Dad weren't able to be at the musical.
So what happened?
Yeah, so you were due 2 days before you were born, or 1 day before you were born, I think, on the 17th. And then we had the musical scheduled for the 18th, and it was like an evening musical. We did a performance for the school, and then went home, and then came back later that night and did a performance for parents. And when I got home from school, it was just Grandma Joyce and Emily at home, and Mom and Dad had gone to the hospital. And so you were born early evening, and we found out and talked with Mom and Dad on the phone, I think, before we went back up to the school. But they didn't get to see me. They didn't get to see me being a
audio tech or whatever.
Yeah, getting to push play and stop on the tape recorder or the tape player. That's how long ago that was. It was an actual cassette tape. But
yeah, so we're 3.5 months shy of 8 years apart.
Yep. Yeah, you're mid-May and I'm end of August.
Yeah, growing up was interesting being so far apart.
Yeah, it was I think it was difficult for us because of the age difference, but also because we are similar enough and different enough to cause problems.
Yeah, because you and Emily, you're 2 years apart. So you already had the sibling friendship. Then I came along 5 years later, 5 years after Emily.
And that's the thing, is I don't remember life without Emily. For a long time, my oldest memory was Emily's the day she was born, which I only remember that was the memory. I don't remember that actually being the case anymore. So, and then you showed up 5 years later, and then we moved a year after that.
Yeah, to the bigger house, which we don't live in anymore. We moved out last summer.
Yep. And I think part of me, why I wanted to do this with you was because we didn't really have a relationship at all because of how far apart we were.
Nope.
And then also, I left. Well, I went to school. I didn't really leave, but I went to college. And you were 10, 11?
Yeah, you were in college the entire time I was in junior high and high school.
Yeah, I would have started college when you were 10. And then after I graduated, I went straight out to Denver and did graduate school. So I was gone for the majority of or for all of your adolescence, basically.
Yeah, growing up, I was always really close with our neighbor, Kayla. I mentioned her in the last one. But I wasn't really close with either of you. And then once you went off to school, Emily and I got closer because we lived together.
Yeah.
But then we never really had the you and I bonding after that.
Yep. So I felt like since we were both interested in this sort of a medium or internet content in general, and then with my interest in particular in the Vlog Brothers and their advice, I guess, to do projects with your siblings to get closer together. Here we are.
Here we are. So I think we had some ideas for doing YouTube videos together, and I think we only did one. That was a long time ago.
We did, yeah, we did the one on mine. Did we do one on yours?
I don't think so. You, like, asked me questions about politics or something.
Yeah, asked you about voting because you weren't going to be 18 in the last presidential election. And then I just, like, asked the same question different ways over and over.
Yeah, I don't really remember that video.
It was, we filmed it. I was home briefly at some point, and we filmed it, like, in April or May. And then that summer I was working in Georgia, and I edited it while I was in Georgia and put it out then. Another example of my procrastination and editing.
Oh, I get that. I think it was probably not this past Christmas, but the one before that. I got Emily a present, and then I was like, you also have another present. She was like, is it a Vine compilation? Yeah, I'm still working on it. And I'm still working on it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Never gave it to her. I never finished editing it.
You're going to end up putting together a compilation from whatever comes after TikTok for her. That's how long it's going to take.
Well, I downloaded a lot of the Vines, and, like, I have some of them put together. I never exported it. I don't know if I even found all of the Vines. So I had, like, a list on my phone of Vines that Emily liked. Some of them aren't even Vines. They're just clips of videos that she thought was funny.
Oh, it's the worst. When you click on a Vine video, and they're like, these are all a compilation of Vines, and then they're not Vines. You, like, hit that point when it goes just over 6 seconds, and you're like, what is this? This is not a Vine. Mm-hmm. You cannot call this a Vine compilation.
Yeah, because I think the ones that I found, like the other videos she liked, I cut them down so they were shorter than 6 seconds. Like, there's one, I don't think it ever made it into a Vine, though. It was on Jeopardy. They did a category that was, like, rap. And so Alec Trebek was rapping on Jeopardy. So they did, it's like Alex Trebek just standing behind his podium and started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. Panda, 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 panda. I think it came out after Vine died, but they're short enough that they could have been a Vine.
I remember when Vine first started, I heard about it from someone in the lunch line, like talking to somebody else. He was like, there's this new social media platform where you just make like 6-second videos. I think it's going to be really big. And I thought to myself, that sounds so stupid. And then Vine went and proved me wrong.
I don't think I remember when it first came out. But I mean, I remember like the beginnings, like classic Vines. What was that, like 2014?
I don't know, something like that.
It was when the WAP was popular at dance.
Or no, I guess I heard about it. I was in college, so it would have been before 2014. It would have been like 2012 when I heard about the start of it. But it wasn't big yet. It was in its infancy.
Yeah, Vine was a platform. Now TikTok kind of has the same energy as Vine, but it's different because the videos can be longer.
Yeah, well,
I feel like they're not quite as widespread as Vines.
It has the same energy as Vine if you believe the compilation titles on YouTube.
I watched a compilation of TikToks today that was like TikToks to watch when you're in quarantine. Then the first recommended video was TikToks to watch when you're in quarantine with the coronavirus. It's like, oh, one-upping that last title.
Yep. Well, you got to get the views.
Because TikTok started out as Musical.ly, didn't it?
I have no idea. I know very little about TikTok, other than
So
it's
I'm
a
pretty
video
sure
platform.
it was like near the end of Vine, Musical.ly came around, and it was just like people acting out or dancing to like songs or like lip syncing to songs, and then I'm pretty sure that eventually it. Someone can correct me, but I think that Musical.ly became TikTok.
Well, I guess I have a computer in front of me. Why don't we just look it up? Musical.ly. But it's not spelled just musically. I don't remember how it's spelled. Musical.ly TikTok. TikTok, formerly known as Musical.ly, so you are correct.
Yeah, because like the whole platform switched. Because Musical.ly was intended to be like lip syncing. Actually, I don't know if that's what it was intended for, but that's what it was used for. It was bizarre.
Yep. There's definitely a difference between what something is intended for and what it's used for. Just look at something like any social media platform.
Yeah, Facebook.
Originally
Meant
for
to
college
connect
kids.
people in college.
Yep, now it's for
Now it's for people
Midwestern
grandma's
moms.
age.
Grandparents that need to yell about politics. Russian bots.
Share minion memes.
Almost just lost my water there.
I saw a tweet recently. Let me see if I can pull it up quickly. That was like how to get boomers to care about social issues, and it was people had just like instead of typing like the normal minion meme, they would just type like climate change is real over the minion's face. And be like, are they gonna look at this? So there's this one, it's a minion, he's just standing there, and then the caption, like the text next to him, your mind is a powerful thing. When you fill it with Fox News, your kids will stop visiting. Just things like that.
Yeah. Part of me doesn't want to slam things like that because we know people who watch those things. But I don't like Fox News specifically, cable news in general. News coverage at all in general right now. It's just a lot of it's not new. They just say the same thing over and over and over. Like with the coronavirus deal, I've been hearing about coronavirus. Like, as I was slowly deciding to phase news coverage of any kind back into my life, was right as the coronavirus was breaking out in China. So the BBC was like twice a day I was hearing about coronavirus. And then the election here was happening at the same time with all the primaries coming up. It's like, this is why I backed out in the first place, because it's the same thing over and over. And then
I don't
add the cable news platform.
I don't intend to watch the news, but it finds you on social media.
Yeah, that's what I found out. Even not being on social media, I have been aware of a fair amount of goings on, or a lot of what I feel like I need to know, even without actively seeking it out.
Mm-hmm. We live in one big bubble. Everything's connected.
Yep. And then I heard somebody talking about supporting journalists and good news coverage, and I was like, well, maybe I'll try to do something like that. So I got one of those short starter subscriptions for the New Yorker. But I realized really quickly that I wasn't going to read it. It was like 12 issues. And about 5 issues in, I was like, I'm just not reading it. It's not going to be worth it for me to keep getting this.
Yeah, with school, I get a free subscription to the New York Times. So not like the actual paper, but I can go online and view as many articles as I want. But I usually just use it if I'm like writing a paper. I don't just head on over to the website and click a bunch of articles.
Yeah.
Because most of the things that affect me, the campus paper will cover. I know someone who works for the paper, so he'll share like every article.
These headphones will shut off every half hour when it doesn't think they're being used. And apparently it doesn't think a telephone call is them being used. So I just had to turn them back on.
I was cleaning my room the other day, and I have a drawer that's kind of just like miscellaneous things, mainly cables. So like I bought a pack of 4 iPhone chargers, and I just keep the extra ones in the drawer. And I keep empty boxes in there, so boxes for like my window decorations or like electronic stuff. And I found 2 old boxes for Apple headphones, both of which were empty because I've had to buy in the past like year and a half 2 different pairs of Apple headphones, and they've both broken.
We might have to cut this one short, or I might have to move because you're cutting in and out now. Let me see about moving first. You might have to hear
And
the
move closer to the router.
yeah, you might have to hear the well, I guess any sound. It's part of why I've been doing it in the closet, because it's more insulated.
Yeah, when I thought I was gonna start a gaming channel, I was like staying in your room at the time because you weren't there. I was in high school, and like I taped blankets to the ceiling and like hung blankets down around me because mom's room was right above your room, and I'd be up like playing games until 2 in the morning. I didn't want to wake mom up. Tried to insulate it with stuffed animals.
Yeah, all right. And we're walking. Alrighty. Walk. Too many doors. Kept all these doors closed too. It's dark out now. Out of the dungeon.
I was thinking, recently that like if there's ever a tornado in our apartment or like near Ames, there's not really anywhere for us to go because this entire complex doesn't have anything like underground. We're on the 2nd floor, so we just like hang out in the bathtub, I guess.
Yep. I thought about that a little in Denver because we were the same way, but then there aren't really tornadoes that hit Denver. It's a little high up for that. Like, it can still get hit, but it's not typical.
Yeah, because Ames is more likely to get hit than the cities were. It's just one of those thoughts. Like, I don't think we're going to be impacted by a tornado anytime soon. I mean, you can't really guess that sort of thing, but if one comes, like, this entire complex could just be taken out. It's cheaply built, so I don't really feel that bad for the property management company.
Well, if anything does hit, the bathroom is the place to be. Although, are you a upstairs tenant or are you on the 1st floor?
We're on the 2nd floor.
Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, pull a Tom Hanks in the money pit. Bathtub falls through the ceiling.
That movie was a movie where the intro was terrible, the end was terrible, and the middle was hilarious. But it's like the story itself wasn't very good.
It's a pretty bad movie, but so funny. Where are you? I'm in the living room. No,
Yeah.
or I'm in the den. No, you're not. I was just in there.
I'm
in the floor,
right here.
behind the chair. Now let's do Brad.
Yep. I have that somewhere. I got a 2-pack with that and The Burbs. And The Burbs
Yeah, we
was
watched The Burbs
bad.
as siblings. I remember we were like 20 minutes into the movie and you turned to Emily and you're like, this isn't good. We watched the rest of it.
Yep. Not my favorite Tom Hanks movie. Actually, probably my least favorite Tom Hanks movie. I looked it up one time. I don't remember why, but I think I've seen 20 Tom Hanks movies. Like movies where Tom Hanks was the lead or a primary character.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me for you. There's a website called List Challenges. People like compile these lists. And so there was one that was like every Disney movie ever. You go through and click all the ones that you've seen.
That was tough though because there are so many old Disney movies.
Yeah. And like I've done a lot of the like 250 best movies of all time. And I feel like I've seen a lot of movies. Then I go through it. It's like, never heard of these. But I feel like you do a lot better at those because you see more movies than me.
Yeah, well, at least recently.
And things like The Matrix and The Terminator, like I know of them, but I've never seen them.
Yeah, The Matrix is really good. I like that. It's probably my top 10.
And then there's a a fair amount of horror movies on them. I don't like horror movies.
Yeah, I can do like one a year. This year, whenever the time comes, it'll be A Quiet Place too, once movie theaters reopen.
Yeah, and so on a lot of the lists there are Tom Hanks movies, and there are things that like I know I haven't seen this, but I'm pretty sure Eric has. Like The Green Mile, I think you have that one.
Yeah, that's good.
Or Robin Williams, Good Will Hunting. I've never seen that one.
That's really good too. That's on Netflix.
Is it?
Yep.
Maybe I'll give it a gander. Yeah, so there was one of those quizzes or like challenges that I did the other day, and I wish that they could like show you which movies you click, like the percentage of people who have taken the quiz who have also seen that movie, because there were a handful that like the only reason I knew them was because I took an Intro to World Film class last year. So just like a random Polish movie. It's like, I know that. I've seen that.
Yeah.
And I want to know how many other people who took the quiz also knew it.
Or there's times where I'll see stuff and there'll be a movie on there. It's like, that was communist propaganda. Why is this ranked as one of the best movies ever?
I think I was in high school. I found one, and it's now would be considered old, but it was like Reddit's top 250 movies at the time. And I went through and I like wrote down every single movie on the list. Now I was gonna go through and watch all of them, and then I went around like quizzing our family members, like, have you seen these movies? And I read them the entire list, and I annoyed everyone that whole summer.
Yeah.
And I still never got around to finishing the list. I have it somewhere.
It's hard to find like an objective list like that. Like I think AFI had a top 100, the American Film Institute, but that was like at their 100th anniversary, so it wasn't updated. They'll have a top 10 every year of the AFI 10 best movies, and I still need to see The Farewell from last year.
I got around a couple months ago to finally watching Avatar, and I was like surprised with how good it was. I remember there being this huge buzz around Avatar, and then for the next 5 years, no one said a single word about the movie.
The James Cameron movie?
Mm-hmm.
That was because it was more about the visual than anything. Like, it was visually impressive and was meant to be seen on the IMAX screens, which is part of why I didn't have a ton of interest in it. And then the one time I tried to watch it was on an airplane. I got like 15 minutes in and I was like, I'm still not interested in this. Yeah. And then I watched The Other Guys instead.
Yeah,
what else did I watch that on?
Avatar's on Disney Plus now, so if you ever get around, I was pleasantly surprised with how good it was.
Yeah, I saw that it's there. And he's still there apparently. They've been in production of Avatar 2 since the last one finished 10 years ago. So if that ever comes out.
Didn't they open at Disney World? I think it was in Animal Kingdom. They did like a Pandora.
I have no idea.
It was meant to be like Avatar World.
I haven't been to Animal Kingdom since 2003.
I haven't either. I've been back to Disney several times since our first family trip, and we never went back to Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Been back to every other park though.
Yep. So I have a friend from the last place I worked who used to work at Animal Kingdom. So if you ever hear this, I'm sorry, but wasn't my favorite. It's not really my deal.
I don't even really remember it because I was, 4 years old when we went on? I think I was 5 when we went on the trip.
Yeah, it would have been... I was in 7th grade. Maybe it was 2004 then. So it would have been right around when you turned 5 because it was in the spring.
Yeah, I don't remember much from that trip.
Which is a little funny because we took it when we did so that you would remember it. But I guess that's more for you remembering it for a shorter period of time than for your lifetime. Plus, now you've been back so many more times than I have that you have other memories of Disney.
Yeah, I've been there probably I was going to say probably at least 3 more times than you. You did the band trip. No one was on that.
Yeah, we got to play a show at Epcot, or a parade at Epcot, and a parade at Magic Kingdom in 2007. So I went back for that. And then I think I was back when Mom turned 50. She brought everyone there. And I think those are those 3 times. So those 2 plus the first family trip. Those are the only times I've been.
Oh, no. We went to go see Grandma Mary once, and we went to the parks.
Did we really?
Yeah, she made us bologna sandwiches, and we were sitting in the parking lot, and Emily was like, I cannot eat this bologna sandwich.
I don't remember that at all.
Were you there for that? Because I really wanted a balloon, and then I didn't say that I wanted a balloon until after we had left the park. And Mom was like, well, why didn't you say anything? I was like, I don't know. And then you and Emily were like, well, what are you going to do with a balloon? We leave tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Mom was like, well, Grandma could have enjoyed it.
I don't remember that at all. My one memory of a trip down to see Grandpa and Grandma would have been, what was that, 10th grade, 11th grade? But like we went down in January.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, we were down there a few times.
That's it. Other than going back down for the memorial service, I don't remember going down other than that. Those 2, I do remember. It was, what year was... That was 2007, because it was a month before the 50th Daytona 500.
Yeah, because we went to the track, and you were like, only
2008.
my parents would bring me to a racetrack the wrong week.
Yep, 2008. And they were testing, and we got Dale Jarrett's autograph, because he was down there.
But we went another time down to Florida, and maybe you weren't on the trip, a time between that trip and the memorial service.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been there then. Not that I remember.
Well, I want to say it was the trip where you got stopped at security for
that was
your drum.
That was the 2008 trip. So it could be the same trip, and I just don't remember going to Disney.
There was,
I don't know.
All the trips kind of blur together, but there was the one time that we got stuck in Atlanta. We had to fly into Orlando and rent a car. I don't remember which one that was.
That was that one.
Okay, because then there was a different one where we flew Minneapolis to Atlanta to Daytona Beach.
Yeah. I remember we got stuck in Atlanta because of weather, and I think we were supposed to fly to Daytona, and instead we flew to Orlando, got to the airport, or got to the hotel at like 12:30 in the morning. So it's like all dark out, and then we come out the next morning, and across the street is the hotel we'd stayed at for band. It's like, hey, look at that. I know right where we are.
I remember when we went back to Disney for Mom's 50th, you and I went on Splash Mountain.
Yep.
And we were just getting up to the big drop, and then the ride stopped. And they had us climb out of our logs and go back around the character exit, and we were like standing in the back of Disney World, and you were just like, I know where we are, I've been here. That's where the band lined up.
Yep. I was thinking about that today because I watched We Bare Bears minisode where they were on a log flume.
Yeah, and then the next time I went to Disney World, we were on the ride. It was me and Mom, I think. And we were on the log flume, and it stopped. And I was like, this is not happening. Like, we're not getting stopped again on the log flume.
The nice thing about that, it was so busy that day that they gave us like a free fast pass for any ride on the list, and one of them was Space Mountain, so we didn't have to wait in the 2-hour line for Space Mountain. We like almost ran over there.
Emily was standing outside Splash Mountain like with all of our things because we gave her our things. And I remember when we came out finally, she was like, I thought you died.
I don't remember that.
Because we had to have been on it for a while before they got us off.
Yeah, well,
but we couldn't like text her or anything because she had our phones.
And then you factor in how long you stand in line and so on and so forth. That was a busy day. It was nice though because we were staying at a resort on the property, and so we could like stay for an hour after everyone else had to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then raining. It cleared out. It was raining, but it cleared out almost entirely. And I was so much happier when everyone left.
The train one.
Yeah.
Whatever the big train roller coaster
is. It's another
is.
Mountain name.
Thunder Mountain? Is that one?
It sounds close. Probably right.
Something like that. So we went on it. We did it once. And then we were like about to get out, and then one of the workers was like, "If you want to go on again, like go for it." We just sat back down.
Yep. That's like
But
that.
you were like screaming, like, "This is the coldest I've ever been," because it was raining and we were on a fast roller coaster.
That's like the one roller coaster that's has like any intensity at Magic Kingdom. And that's coming from someone who's measures intensity by the wild thing at Valley Fair. Go look it up, people. It used to have the highest drop in the world or something like that.
When we went to Valley Fair in 6th grade, it was like everyone had to get on the bus at 4 o'clock, and the park or the amusement park closed at 5. But if you had a chaperone with you, like if one of the chaperones on the trip had driven themselves, you could just stay until park close. So one of the chaperones happened to be my friend's mom, and so we stayed after the entire school cleared out, or all of the 6th graders cleared out. We did the wild thing like 7 times.
Nice. You probably had a lot more students on that trip than I did. Because when I was in 6th grade, our elementary school had just opened. And so there were only 2 6th grade classes. And then one of the 6th grade classes didn't get to go. So it was just like 30 of us.
We had 4 classes.
So like 120.
Yeah, something like that. And then all the chaperones.
Yep. I remember some from that. I don't remember a ton. I haven't been to Valley Fair since 2009, I think. I went with church.
I don't think I've been back since we went in 6th grade. Would have been 2012. I mean, I've been to Disney World at least twice, 3 times since then.
I hadn't been
Which
to
I
the Mall of
think
America
kinda...
for a long time too, and then this last couple months when I was working close to there, I went over there a couple of times and just walked around.
I think it's interesting growing up where we did, because like I'll talk to people now who will like in Iowa like make a family trip out of going to the Mall of America, and then I go there and it's like it's just a mall to me. Like
Yeah.
we grew up with that.
The first time back, after it'd been 10 years or whatever, I was like, wow, this place is enormous. There's so much stuff here. And then the second time back, it's like, oh, okay, this is just normal.
Because like I can recognize that it's a big mall, but then my freshman year here, one of my friends was like, "Oh, we're gonna go down to Des Moines to go to the Jordan Creek Mall. Do you want to come with? It's like the biggest mall." And I showed up, and it was just like a normal mall. Like it was the size of, what's the city? The Cheesecake Factory. Where's that?
Southdale and Edina.
Edina.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the size of that mall. It's like this is just a mall. It's so big. It's not that big.
Yeah. I went to the AMC at Southdale in like December, and it is set up super strange. Just with like, I feel like you have to see it for me to explain it. It's just so different from any other place. And the theater I was in was like, there was the screen, and then there were like 2 rows, and then the aisle, and then there were like 3 rows in an aisle, and then a back row. And it was like set up. When you came out, you could see that there was like, it was on the second floor, and on the first floor was just a walkway. So the theater is just like built over a normal hallway in the mall. Again, I feel like you have to see it to understand. It was just not what I was accustomed to. I don't typically spend a lot of time at malls.
There's a mall in Ames, but I was only there a couple times last summer, right before I left for Italy. I needed to buy some new clothes, but I mean, that was the only time I ever had any reason to go to that mall. Oh, I take it back. I bought a pillow there at a Kohl's once.
At Bethel, they had a shuttle that would go from school to the mall, Rosedale Mall, and then to Target, and then back to Bethel. And freshman year, after a couple of times going to the mall, it's like, I don't ever need to be in a mall again. And I lasted for like 3 years not going back to a mall. That was like me with Walmart too, after that summer in Georgia. It's like, I never need to go back to a Walmart again. And it lasted for like a year and a half.
There was a span of time growing up where I like would not step foot in a Walmart.
That's because there wasn't
And I
really
think
there wasn't really one close to us at all. At least not a good one.
No, but I remember like one of the first times I was ever in a Walmart was when Dad, Emily, and I went to Yellowstone in, what was that, like 9th grade? It's spring break of ninth grade, maybe. Sounds about right.
I'm looking
And
at the
Dad and Emily
giant
were like,
picture on the wall, and I can't tell.
yeah, Dad. When we went to Yellowstone, Dad had Emily and I pose in front of the gigantic Yellowstone sign, and then he blew it up 12 times and put it on the wall in his house.
Yep. Link in the show
But I
notes.
remember we were in Wyoming. Dad and Emily were like, we're going to Walmart. And I was like, I'm not going to Walmart. And they dragged me to Walmart. And like, it's still not a store that I usually don't intend to go to Walmart because there are other stores near me, but like now I'll go there. I don't know why I hated it so much.
Yeah. I go less often because there's a Target across the street and I have more desire to go to Target.
Yeah, we live closest to a Hy-Vee, and then I have the Fuel Saver card. What?
Sorry you live by a Hy-Vee.
What's wrong with Hy-Vee?
It's so expensive.
I mean, it was right around Christmas time. I got a gift card to Hy-Vee and a gift card to Target, and I went on apps for like both things and found prices for everything that I had on my grocery list and found the best price. There were some better prices at Walmart for certain things, but Target mostly had the better deals. But with Hy-Vee, I have the Fuel Saver card, so then if I buy the right things, I get money off of gas.
Yeah. See, like when you work the system, then it works out, which I guess is true for anything. But when you just go to Hy-Vee, or really to any grocery store up here, Hy-Vee or Cub, you go and you're like, this thing is $2 more than it would be at Target or Walmart. And $2 is a lot when it's less than $10 products.
I have the Target app and the Hy-Vee app, so I always try and like find the coupons and find the best deals. So the last time I went to Hy-Vee, I bought 10 boxes of pasta because they were it was buy 10 boxes for $10, and then with a purchase of 10, you would get 20 cents off per gallon of gas.
I shouldn't laugh. I've bought that much pasta before.
I still have like 8.5 boxes of pasta.
Well, you're set for quarantine.
But I don't, like, I'm almost done with the jar of Alfredo, so it's just going to be pasta, like nothing on it.
Yeah, I've lived that life.
And then Hy-Vee also had a deal where you could get a 5-pack of mac and cheese for $1.99. So I went to pick up the box, and then on the box there was a coupon for $1 off. So I got a 5-pack for the price of just one box of mac and cheese.
That's better for you than me. I'm not a mac and cheese fan.
I still had leftover mac and cheese because Dad bought me a Costco size for Christmas. And so now I think I still have like 13 boxes of mac and cheese. So I have 8.5 boxes of penne and 13 boxes of mac and cheese. Oh, they also had a really good deal on stuffing when I went to Hy-Vee. I just bought a bunch of carbs.
About the only thing I get at Hy-Vee is cookies, because I can actually eat them out of the bakery. But since that's the only thing I get at Hy-Vee, it's not really the best for me to go to Hy-Vee.
Yeah, it's closer than Target. So I looked it up, and there are 2 Hy-Vees in Ames. We live near the west one, and the west one is about a mile away. And all of the other grocery stores, the other Hy-Vee, Target, Walmart, and Aldi, they're all about 3 miles away.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me to drive 3 times the distance.
Too far to walk.
I thought about it. I was like, maybe I'll pull an Eric and I'll go walk to Target. And I pulled it up and I was like, nope, nope. Mm-mm.
There was one of the places I was at in Denver was close enough to walk to, like only 3/4 of a mile. Here it's a little further.
I walked home from Hy-Vee once, but I wasn't actually like a patron at Hy-Vee. I was just on the bus route and Grandma called me and I was on the phone. And I felt weird talking on the phone, like being the only one on the bus saying anything. So I got off at Hy-Vee and walked a mile home while talking to Grandma. That's the only time I walked home from Hy-Vee. I walked to Come and Go the other night.
Yeah, I saw.
It's not really a whole lot of things within walking distance here. Come and Go is just like 3 blocks away. And I just really wanted a Slurpee.
We should say for people listening, that's a gas station and convenience store. There were the first time we did the first time I was on the Mason City band trip, there were some people in the band who thought it was hilarious that a place was called Come and Go.
Yeah, they don't have them in Minnesota. Just like Holiday gas station, they don't have those in Iowa. Yeah, so I walked to the Come and Go, got a slushie and some bags of chocolate covered peanuts, and walked back. One of the times I came down here for a college visit, it was me, Mom, and Emily, and we stayed at a hotel that was right by that same Come and Go. And I don't remember why, but Emily and I were like, we're gonna walk to the Come and Go and go get something. And we walked to the Come and Go, and we're like, let's get a slushie. And they had a Dr. Pepper flavor, and we're like, let's get the Dr. Pepper one. What size? And we looked at the size: small, medium, large, extra large. And I was like, oh, just get the biggest one. Like, it's cheap, get the biggest one. And she pulled out the biggest large container, and it was like the biggest drink we had ever seen. And I was like, yeah, just fill it up. And she filled it up, and it, like, we couldn't even together finish the whole thing in a night. And so we were walking back to the hotel just dying laughing because it was the largest size we had ever seen. But I convinced her to buy it because, like, yeah, let's do it. There are two of us. We started drinking it. This was a mistake.
I'm sure it was only like $1.39.
Yeah, because they're not that expensive. And then sometimes it's over the summer, they'll do all sizes of drinks are 99 cents. And so after tax, it's $1.07, but then it's only $1.07. You can get any size you want. So get a large one, drink half of it, and freeze the second half for later.
There you go.
I feel like it's a good use of my money.
Hey everyone, this is Eric stepping in to let you know that the 2 out of 3 podcast is a self-funded production. Those of you familiar with the podcasting universe know that, with regards to production costs, this is a largely crowdsourced platform. However, I realized two things. One, with the current state of the world, there are probably a lot of people who are a little long on the free time and a little short on the funds. And two, this podcast is in its infancy, and you may want to hear more before deciding whether supporting us financially in any way is something you're interested in. I completely understand these points, so let me just give you some information to stick in your back pocket. Patreon.com is a website dedicated to connecting a large number and variety of creators with patrons who help fund projects they love. Funding can be given in increments in as little as $1 per month. This podcast you're listening to right now, the 2 out of 3 podcast, has its own Patreon page, patreon.com/2 out of 3 podcast. The great thing about this site for us is that it is more than a crowdsourcing site. It's a way to connect with the people who listen to the podcast. We can post some content exclusive for patrons, and we can post some content that is completely free to the public. If now or at any point in the future you are interested in supporting the show financially, head over to patreon.com/2 out of 3 podcast to go through that process. And even if you're not, head over there to see the different things we post related to the episode or to whatever else we might have to share. To learn more about the site and the show, head over to patreon.com/2 out of 3 podcast. That's all one word in lowercase with the number 2 and the number 3 in there. Patreon.com/2 out of 3 podcast. Thanks for listening and thanks for your support. Now back to the show. Well, is there anything else on here? Oh, the last thing on this list that I wrote down is that today, as we're recording, it's April Fool's. Just wondering if you remember any April Fool's pranks, because I wasn't a prankster, but I seem to remember Emily pulling something on you.
I don't remember any of the pranks that Emily pulled on me, but there was one year I was at Grandma and Grandpa's for April Fool's Day, and it was like the most fun I've ever had out there. Because I was like, I'm gonna get Grandma. Like, I'm gonna get her. And so I did two things. The first thing I did was I took one section of the newspaper. I took the middle section out and I switched it with a different section of the newspaper. So Grandpa was in on it, and I came upstairs later and Grandma was like trying to read the last part of the sports section, and she was just like, this damn newspaper, they can never get their sections right. I can't find the end of the story. And I was dying, and Grandpa was like, hey Joe, like, look at it. And then the other thing I did, I took some plastic wrap, like cling wrap, and I went down into the shower and I took the caps off some of Grandma's like shampoo and conditioner bottles, put a piece of plastic wrap over it, and then screwed the cap back on, so when she squeezed it, nothing came out. And it wasn't that funny in the moment, but then she called me like 6 months later, and she was like, Did you put plastic wrap on multiple things when you were here for April Fool's Day? I was like, yeah, I put it on like 4 bottles. She was like, I just found the last one and I could not figure out what was wrong with it.
That's funny. The one I remember Emily pulling on you was tying your door to mom and dad's door. The door
I
handles.
don't remember that.
That's the only thing I remember. I wasn't big on pranks.
One of you, I don't remember which one. I don't remember it. I only remember the story that I had one of those dressers where the drawers pulled all the way out. And so I had them organized, whatever way I had them organized. And someone at one point pranked me by just reorganizing the drawers, like putting them in different spots. And I just remember hearing the story that, like, I took the drawer out and, like, screamed because it wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was, where are all my things?
That I could imagine doing, but I don't remember that. The issue with pranks is that there's always an escalation, and I never wanted to be a part of an escalation. Or I never wanted to get hit back, period. But then the escalating part of it, like, completely stopped me from ever doing anything, more or less.
Yeah, I think the pranks I've done have been pretty harmless, like switching out the sections of the newspaper.
There was one time when I must have been in junior high and Emily was in elementary school still. So I was getting home 45 minutes before her or whatever. And there was one time I hid in the front closet and waited for her to get home and then jumped out at her from the closet after she walked past. And she got so high in the air. It was fantastic.
There was one time I was over at my friend's house, and it was the same kind of deal. We were in high school, and her sister was in junior high. And I remember I hid in their pantry, and then when her sister got home, I jumped out at her. And then we recreated it, and the recreated version was the one that went on Facebook. So one of our friends was like, this is fake. Yeah, but it did actually happen. It was funny. But as far as I can remember, that's the only person I intentionally, like, scared like that.
And then there have been a couple of times where things have come out on April Fool's Day that were actually real. And you're just like, why would you choose to announce this on this day? Like, there was one time, Jack's Bakery in Brooklyn Park. Do you remember that place?
Mm-hmm.
They announced that they were going to be closing at the end of the week on April Fool's Day. But they actually were, like, completely closing forever, like, at the end of the week. It's like, why did you announce this on April Fool's? Because it took a while to figure out if it was true or not. Oh, the other thing I remember specifically was when Ellen DeGeneres announced that Finding Dory was going to be a thing. She announced on April Fool's Day. It's like, for something like that, it doesn't seem like April Fool's Day is the best day to announce that there's going to be a Disney movie coming.
Last year, I didn't realize that it was April Fool's Day, and I got a free cruise voucher for renewing my lease with my apartment. And so I just texted Mom. I was like, do you want to go on a cruise with me? She's like, yes. And I was giving her details, and she was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get these cruise vouchers. Do you want to go on a cruise with me? She's like, is this an April Fool's Day prank? I was like, oh no, like, I'm dead serious. I have these cruise vouchers. Now here we are a year later, and our cruise is probably going to get postponed due to the coronavirus.
There was another time when I was interning at a place senior year of college that it was a job skills program, and they sold books on Amazon. And then whenever they didn't sell, would go to Half Price Books, and we would try to sell stuff there. And so I was at Half Price Books for them, selling stuff. And my supervisor called me and asked if I could ask them if they had seen this certain book. It was like on women's health. And I like just did it, not realizing that it was supposed to be part of an April Fool's prank. And then like I got another call after, like, on another errand. I think they asked me to get everybody a pizza from Little Caesars. And that was finally when I was clued in. It's like, oh, this is for April Fools. And then part of me wishes I'd just gone into Little Caesars and asked for a pizza box and just brought that back. But instead, we had only gotten $1 from selling all the books. So I just like walked in and laid the dollar on the guy's desk.
I enjoy sometimes watching prank videos, and there's a good one of like a dad who sends his daughter into a like auto parts store. It's like, Can you go ask for blinker fluid?
Blinker fluid is a classic. I have a friend who pulled that on his sister. About as far as I get with prank videos is watching Ellen DeGeneres.
She does some good scares. Oh, she did a really funny prank video where she sent Adele into like a Jamba Juice, and like Ellen was in her ear saying what to say and do. That one was really funny. That was several years ago. When I was in, it was either junior high or high school, there was a span of time where like I had to watch Ellen every day. That was about the same time as my Jeopardy phase. I watched Jeopardy every day and recorded how many points I got.
That I didn't do. I watched Jeopardy, but I didn't record. It worked
Oh,
out.
like the teen tournament.
Oh, those were so easy,
all
though.
my points during the teen. Well, I was a teen at the time.
I always wanted to do the teen tournament, especially after I was older. It's like, these questions are so easy compared to the normal ones.
Yeah, I've tried to get on Jeopardy a few separate times, and the teen test was the best I ever did. I still didn't do good, yeah. But it was better than when I did the adult test recently.
I did the test for the college tournament 8 years ago or whatever. I was actually in Guatemala taking that test. It did not go well. Not even questions I got right, just questions I answered. It was only a third of the questions.
That sounds about right. So I think I took the college test at least once. I maybe took it twice. Just like no idea.
Now that's on Netflix too, or on Netflix. It seems like
Jeopardy?
it seems like a weird thing to put on Netflix, but it's there.
That'd be a good like put on in the background while you're doing something show.
Yeah.
I remember one of the times we were in Florida to see Grandma Mary. We were watching Jeopardy, and like you and Emily would sometimes get a question right, and I like didn't know any of them. And then there was one question that was like, what is the historic landmark or whatever where Noah's Ark? Like, where did Noah's Ark land after the flood? And I shouted, just Mount Ararat! It's like the first question I ever got right on Jeopardy. I was like 10. Not even. I was probably like 8.
Shining moment of glory.
Yeah, it was probably like one of the 400 questions.
There was one time when they were still in Wisconsin that I got a final Jeopardy question right that I impressed Grandpa with. It was the only type of war that you can spell using Roman numerals. Any guesses?
The only type... Is it civil?
Yep. You are correct. Well done. My shining moment of glory in front of
Jeopardy question.
Shining moment of glory in front of Grandpa Bob.
Yeah, it probably makes up for you throwing up chocolate milkshake on their carpet once.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Were Mom and Dad even there?
Nope, it was just the kids.
I just remember you throwing up on the carpet.